Sujit wants to know if he can ask a business broker for half the commission if he buys a business. Hey there, everyone. It's Dave Barnett from davidcbarnett.com, the blog site, YouTube channel, iTunes, SoundCloud. Is Google Play around anymore? I don't know. Uh, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon podcast, where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium-sized businesses. Today, I got a great question from Sujit, and I'm gonna read it for you here. He was watching the video where I talk about small business tax returns and explain the different types of financial statements that accountants can prepare. And there should be a link to it here somewhere where you can go see that video if you want. But he says, awesome question and response. Now I understand why the bankers asked for a review engagement quality financials during lending. Can you also talk on your experience on, and he puts in quotes here, home buyers 50% cashback rebate program offered by realtors and agents? It's equivalent in business buying, question mark. Can the 10 to 15% of commission earned by the seller's agent be shared with the buyer if the buyer has no agent for representation? So I wasn't familiar with what he was talking about, the 50% cash back. So I did a search online and quickly found that there are all kinds of real estate agents out there offering cash incentives, rebates based on the purchase of a home. And so I thought that was interesting. And then I started to play with my calculator and do a few numbers. So here's what you have to understand about the big difference between real estate agents and business brokers. And they are two completely different kinds of professions because they sell two completely different kinds of things. Always beware of a real estate agent trying to sell a business or trying to sell your business. In fact, I made a video about that a few years ago, why real estate agents shouldn't be selling businesses. And hopefully the link is appearing above my head here. I'll put a link down below to it as well in the show notes. So in the world of real estate, you, as an agent, you drive around with your clients and you put in offers on homes, you look at homes. In a normal market, you might help point out or realize what the deficiencies of homes are and help them with different conditions on the offers. In some cities, as this is being filmed in 2021, like up in Greater Toronto area where Sujit is, there's just so much demand that things are going nuts. People are putting a house up for sale and 40 different people are putting in offers. So the agents that are working with buyers are basically submitting offers. There's probably not a lot of conditions on those offers in desperate hope to try to be the winning bid. Now, what has happened in some areas in the metro area up in Toronto, and I know this has happened in other places in North America and big cities around the world, is that the houses have gone up by 200 grand. Well, if the real estate agents are getting a commission of 5% for selling a house, let's say, and that's split between a buyer and seller's agent. If all I have to do as a real estate agent is submit a few offers for someone, and I'm getting, half of a 5% commission on an $800,000 or $900,000 deal, man, that's a lot of cash flow. So I can certainly understand why some real estate agents are just trying to buy more clients by offering to give part of that money back. At one time when houses were worth 150 grand, yeah, it really did take $3, $4, $5,000 worth of work to get the job done of selling the house. But now they're worth 5 or 6 times as much, but I don't think the workload has increased that much, right? And so this is the difference. Now, compare that to the world of business brokerage. Sujit says that the commissions for business brokers are between 10 and 15%. What I have most often run into is about 10%. When I was a business broker, I used to charge 12% of business value and 6% of real estate value if real estate went with the deal. I know some business brokers that might charge 15% on very small deals, maybe purchase price under $250,000 or something like that. What is different about the real estate agent versus the business broker? Okay. The business broker is actually doing 3 jobs that are normally done by 3 different people in the world of real estate. The business broker is evaluating the business to help determine what the market price should be. So in that capacity, kind of acting like the real estate appraiser. Then the business broker has to find the buyer, and then the business broker has to help the buyer get the loan from the banker, in that capacity, sort of filling the role that a mortgage broker would fill in the world of homes. Okay. And so the business broker is doing those three kinds of roles. In the world of real estate with houses, tiny declines in the interest rates on mortgages are driving huge increases in the prices of homes because people can afford to buy more house with the same monthly payment because they're locking in super low interest rates. Over in the world of businesses, businesses are not so sensitive to the interest rates because not as much of a purchase price of a business is borrowed from a bank because it's so risky. The price of the business is driven more off of the perceived risk that the buyer has. So if I'm buying a business for $1 million and I'm only going to end up borrowing 40 to 60% of that from a bank, and because of lowered interest rates, I might save $5,000 or $6,000 a year, it's not going to cause me to pay an extra 100 grand for the business. Where we just don't see that kind of leverage price sensitivity in the world of businesses that we see with what's going on in the world of real estate. And so in the world of business brokerage, business brokers typically operate in a one intermediary scenario. There are not many instances, with Florida being a big exception. The business brokerage culture there is quite different. But in most other parts of North America and the world, basically there's one intermediary. So the business broker recruits the business for sale, tries to find buyers, and typically won't cooperate with other business brokers unless they're part of the same office or network in some instances. So that business broker's whole business model is based around collecting the entire commission. And so they'll probably be far less open to you as a buyer saying, listen, can I have some of that money? Now, it can be very difficult sometimes to do a business brokerage deal. And there have been many instances where business brokers get squeezed to cut their commissions. It's usually not by the buyer, it's usually by the seller. So, what ends up happening is the buyer offers an amount of money that doesn't quite make the seller happy. And the seller says, if I were going to accept an amount of money like this for my business, I think I would need some sort of discount from you, Mr. Broker. And that's usually where the business broker suffers what is known in the industry as a profitectomy, which is where a seller takes a surgical scalpel and cuts the profit out of the business broker's gut. Not very good. One of the ways that a buyer can actually find part of the money to buy the business while helping the business broker protect their profit is through a little trick that I learned about and actually put out a product. It's a special report, a book called How to Borrow Money from Your Business Broker, because a business broker is actually in a very unique position where they can help a buyer cross a certain amount of gap in the purchase price by using money that they haven't yet earned, the commission. And there's a certain ways that you can do this. When I learned this trick as a business broker, I used this trick. I suggested it to people in 3 different occasions to help me salvage a deal that would normally otherwise have fallen apart. And so it was quite a saving grace for me. But I have yet to run into anyone anywhere actually who's started any kind of promotion where they're offering to give up part of their commission to a buyer who buys a business. It's just a very different kind of market. Business brokers generally work months or years on every file that they have. And they often have a dozen or more files on their desk at any one time, with only a few of them moving. And it's just different from real estate. Right now, what we're seeing with real estate is every home that goes in the market sells very quickly for ever increasing prices. And yeah, those sellers are getting more money for their houses that they're selling, and the buyers are having to pay more. But I would argue that some of those real estate agents are actually, not doing as much work as they would have to if it were a buyer's market and they were forced to chauffeur some buyers around to see 50 different houses and then argue and haggle on every one, trying to get the best possible price. In my mind, that would be more work. So it makes sense to me that we're seeing people offering this kind of solution. So if you're going to buy a business and you think that you might be short a little bit, like up to about 7-8% on what you're going to be able to put together as far as paying for the business, then you might be interested in that product. I think it's about $30. It's how to borrow money from your business broker. It's available on Amazon and on Kindle and audiobook as a book. But the product I sell through my website also includes the written book, the audio, as well as a video, which shows the flow of documentation, which can be tricky for some people to understand. Anyway, good luck to you. Great question, Sujit, and we'll look forward to more. Have a great day. See you soon. Hit thumbs up. Thanks. Bye.